From a tiny garage in Albuquerque to becoming a global tech titan, Microsoft has shaped the way we work, play, and connect with the world. But how did it all begin? Who were the visionaries behind the empire? And what were the key milestones that turned Microsoft into the powerhouse it is today? In this video, we're diving into the fascinating journey of Microsoft, from its humble beginnings in the 1970s to its game-changing innovations that revolutionized the tech industry. So, sit back, grab a snack, and let's explore the incredible history of one of the most influential companies of all time. Microsoft is a multinational computer technology corporation. Microsoft was founded on April 4, 1975, by Bill Gates and Paul Allen in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Its current best-selling products are the Microsoft Windows operating system, Microsoft Office, a suite of productivity software, Xbox, a line of entertainment of games, music, and video, Bing, a line of search engines, and Microsoft Azure, a cloud services platform. In 1980, Microsoft formed a partnership with IBM to bundle Microsoft's operating system with IBM computers. With that deal, IBM paid Microsoft a royalty for every sale. In 1985, IBM requested Microsoft to develop a new operating system for their computers called OS/2. Microsoft produced that operating system, but also continued to sell their own alternative, which proved to be in direct competition with OS/2. Microsoft Windows eventually overshadowed OS/2 in terms of sales. When Microsoft launched several versions of Microsoft Windows in the 1990s, they had captured over 90% market share of the world's personal computers. As of June 30, 2015, Microsoft has a global annual revenue of $86.83 billion $109 billion in 2023, and 128,076 employees worldwide. It develops, manufactures, licenses, and supports a wide range of software products for computing devices. In late 1974, Paul Allen, a programmer at Honeywell, was walking through Harvard Square when he saw the cover of the January 1975 issue of Popular Electronics that demonstrated the Altair 8800, the first microcomputer. Allen bought the magazine and rushed to Courier House at Harvard College, where he showed it to high school friend Bill Gates. They saw potential to develop an implementation of BASIC for the system. Gates called Altair Manufacturer Micro-Instrumentation and Telemetry Systems, MITS, offering to demonstrate the implementation. Allen and Gates had neither an interpreter nor an Altair system, yet in the 8 weeks before the demo, they developed an interpreter with the help of Monty Davidoff. When Allen flew to Albuquerque to meet with MITS, the interpreter worked and MITS agreed to distribute Altair BASIC. Allen moved to Albuquerque, Gates soon quit Harvard to join him, and they co-founded Microsoft there. Revenues of the company totaled $16,005 by the end of 1976. Allen came up with the original name of Microsoft, a portmanteau of microcomputer and software. Hyphenated in its early incarnations, on November 26, 1976, the company was registered under that name with the Secretary of State of New Mexico. The first employee Gates and Allen hired was their high school collaborator Rick Weiland. The company's first international office was founded on November 1, 1978, in Japan, entitled ASCI Microsoft, now called Microsoft Japan, and on November 29, 1979, the term Microsoft was first used by Bill Gates. On January 1, 1979, the company moved from Albuquerque to a new home in Bellevue, Washington, since it was hard to recruit top programmers to Albuquerque. Shortly before the move, 11 of the then 13 employees posed for the staff photo on the right. Steve Ballmer joined the company on June 11, 1980, and would later succeed Bill Gates as CEO from January 2000 until February 2014. The company restructured on June 25, 1981, to become an incorporated business in its home state of Washington, with a further change of its name to Microsoft Corporation Incorporated. As part of the restructuring, Bill Gates became president of the company and chairman of the board, and Paul Allen became executive vice president and vice chairman. In 1983, Allen left the company after receiving a Hodgkin lymphoma diagnosis, though he remained on the board as vice chairman. This effectively ended the formal business partnership between Gates and Allen, which had been strained months prior due to a contentious dispute over Microsoft equity. Later in the decade, Gates and Allen repaired their relationship, and together the two donated millions to their childhood school Lakeside. They remained friends until Allen's death in October 2018. Microsoft's early products were different variants of Microsoft Basic, which was the dominant programming language in late 1970s and early 1980s home computers such as Apple II, AppleSoft Basic, and Commodore 64, Commodore Basic, and were also provided with early versions of the IBM PC as the IBM Cassette Basic. Microsoft also marketed through an Apple dealer in West Palm Beach, Florida, two products for the Radio Shack TRS-80. One was Typing Tutor, which led the user through learning to use a keyboard. The other was authored by a professor at the University of Hawaii called MooMath, and had the ability to do mathematics in long integer math to avoid floating point numbers. The first hardware product was the Z80 soft card, which enabled the Apple II to run the CP/M operating system, at the time an industry-standard operating system for running business software and many compilers and interpreters for several high-level languages on microcomputers. The soft card was first demonstrated publicly at the West Coast Computer Fair in March 1980. It was an immediate success. 5,000 cards, a large number given the microcomputer market at the time, were purchased in the initial 3 months at $349, $1,084 in 2023, each, and it was Microsoft's #1 revenue source in 1980. The first operating system publicly released by the company was a variant of Unix announced on August 25, 1980. Acquired from AT&T through a distribution license, Microsoft dubbed it Xenix and hired Santa Cruz Operation in order to port/adapt the operating system to several platforms. This Unix variant would become home to the first version of Microsoft's word processor, Microsoft Word. Originally titled Multi-Tool Word, Microsoft Word became notable for its use of "what you see is what you get," or WYSIWYG, pioneered by the Xerox Alto and the Bravo text editor in the 1970s. Word was first released in the spring of 1983, and free demonstration copies of the application were bundled with the November 1983 issue of PC World, making it one of the first programs to be distributed on disk with a magazine. Earlier magazine on-disk distributions included Robert Uterwick's Basic in the May 1977 issue of Information Age. However, Xenix was never sold to end users directly, although it was licensed to many software OEMs for resale. It grew to become the most popular version of Unix, measured by the number of machines running it. Note that Unix is a multi-user operating system, allowing simultaneous access to a machine by several users. By the mid-1980s, Microsoft had gotten out of the Unix business, except for its ownership stake in SEO. IBM first approached Gates and Allen about Microsoft's upcoming IBM personal computer, IBM PC, in July 1980, shortly after Gates's mother began working on United Way's executive board with IBM CEO John Opel. On August 12, 1981, after negotiations with Digital Research failed, IBM awarded a contract to Microsoft to provide a version of the CP/M operating system, which was set to be used in the IBM PC. For this deal, Microsoft purchased a CP/M clone called 86DOS from Tim Patterson of Seattle Computer Products for less than $100,000, which IBM renamed to IBM PC-DOS. The original CP/M was made by Gary Kildall of Digital Research Incorporated due to potential copyright infringement problems with CP/M. IBM marketed both CP/M and PC-DOS for $240 and $40, respectively, with PC-DOS eventually becoming the standard because of its lower price. 35 of the company's 100 employees worked on the IBM project for more than a year. When the IBM PC debuted, Microsoft was the only company that offered operating system, programming language, and application software for the new computer. InfoWorld stated in 1984 that Microsoft, with $55 million, $137 million in 2023, and 1983 sales, is widely recognized as the most influential company in the microcomputer software industry. Claiming more than 1 million installed MS-DOS machines, founder and chairman Bill Gates has decided to certify Microsoft's jump on the rest of the industry by dominating applications, operating systems, peripherals, and Most recently, book publishing. Some insiders say Microsoft is attempting to be the IBM of the software industry. In 1983, in collaboration with numerous companies, Microsoft created a home computer system, MSX, which contained its own version of the DOS operating system, called MSX-DOS. This became relatively popular in Japan, Europe, and South America. Later, the market saw a flood of IBM PC clones after Columbia Data Products successfully cloned the IBM BIOS, quickly followed by Eagle Computer and Compaq. The deal with IBM allowed Microsoft to have control of its own QDOS derivative, MS-DOS, and through aggressive marketing of the operating system to manufacturers of IBM PC clones, Microsoft rose from a small player to one of the major software vendors in the home computer industry. With the release of the Microsoft Mouse on May 2, 1983, Microsoft continued to expand its product line in other markets. This expansion included Microsoft Press, a book publishing division, on July 11 the same year, which debuted with 2 titles, Exploring the IBM PCJR Home Computer by Peter Norton and the Apple Macintosh book by Carrie Liu. Ireland became home to one of Microsoft's international production facilities in 1985, and on November 20, Microsoft released its first retail version of Microsoft Windows, Windows 1.0, originally a graphical extension for its MS-DOS operating system. In August, Microsoft and IBM partnered in the development of a different operating system called OS/2. OS/2 was marketed in connection with a new hardware design proprietary to IBM, the PS/2. In 1985, Microsoft began selling directly to corporate customers. On February 16, 1986, Microsoft relocated their headquarters to a corporate office campus in Redmond, Washington. Around 1 month later, on March 13, the company went public with an IPO, raising $61 million at $21 per share. By the end of the trading day, the price had risen to $28. In 1987, Microsoft eventually released their first version of OS/2 to OEMs. By then, the company was the world's largest producer of software for personal computers, ahead of former leader Lotus Development, and published the 3 most popular Macintosh business applications. In July 1987, Microsoft purchased Forethought, the developer of PowerPoint. It was the company's first major acquisition and gave Microsoft a Silicon Valley base. Meanwhile, Microsoft began introducing its most prominent Office products. Microsoft Works, an integrated Office program which combined features typically found in a word processor, spreadsheet, database, and other Office applications, saw its first release as an application for the Apple Macintosh towards the end of 1986. Microsoft Works would later be sold with other Microsoft products including Microsoft Word and Microsoft Bookshelf, a reference collection introduced in 1987 that was the company's first CD-ROM product. On August 8, 1989, Microsoft introduced its most successful Office product, Microsoft Office. Unlike the model of Microsoft Works, Microsoft Office was a bundle of separate Office productivity applications, such as Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and so forth. While Microsoft Word and Microsoft Office were mostly developed internally, Microsoft also continued its trend of rebranding products from other companies, such as Microsoft SQL Server on January 13, 1988, a relational database management system for companies that was based on technology licensed from Sybase. On May 22, 1990, Microsoft launched Windows 3.0. The new version of Microsoft's operating system boasted new features such as streamlined graphic user interface GUI and improved protected mode ability for the Intel 386 processor. It sold over 100,000 copies in 2 weeks. Windows at the time generated more revenue for Microsoft than OS/2, and the company decided to move more resources from OS/2 to Windows. In an internal memo to Microsoft employees on May 16, 1991, Bill Gates announced that the OS/2 partnership was over, and that Microsoft would henceforth focus its platform efforts on Windows and the Windows NT kernel. Some people, especially developers who had ignored Windows and committed most of their resources to OS/2, were taken by surprise and accused Microsoft of deception. This changeover from OS/2 was frequently referred to in the industry as the head fake. In the recent years, the popularity of OS/2 declined, and Windows quickly became the favored PC platform. 1991 also marked the founding of Microsoft Research, an organization in Microsoft for researching computer science subjects, and Microsoft Visual Basic, a popular development product for companies and individuals. By 1989, Jerry Pournelle described Microsoft as the Redmond giant, citing PowerPoint's features and extraordinarily complete documentation as examples of the kind of quality that makes it difficult for small outfits to compete with the company. During the transition from MS-DOS to Windows, the success of Microsoft Office allowed the company to gain ground on application software competitors, such as WordPerfect and Lotus 123. Novell, an owner of WordPerfect for a time, alleged that Microsoft used its inside knowledge of the DOS and Windows kernels and of undocumented application programming interface features to make Office perform better than its competitors. Eventually, Microsoft Office became the dominant business suite, with a market share far exceeding that of its competitors. In March 1992, Microsoft released Windows 3.1 along with its first promotional campaign on TV. The software sold over 3 million copies in its first 2 months on the market. In October, Windows for Workgroups 3.1 was released with integrated networking abilities such as peer-to-peer file and printing sharing. In November, Microsoft released the first version of their popular database software, Microsoft Access. By 1993, Windows had become the most widely used GUI operating system in the world. Fortune magazine named Microsoft as the 1993 most innovative company operating in the U.S. The year also marked the end of a 5-year copyright infringement legal case brought by Apple, dubbed Apple Computer Incorporated v. Microsoft Corporation, in which the ruling was in Microsoft's favor. Microsoft also released Windows for Workgroups 3.11, a new version of the consumer line of Windows, and Windows NT 3.1, a server-based operating system with a similar user interface to consumer versions of the operating system, but with an entirely different kernel. As part of its strategy to broaden its business, Microsoft released Microsoft Encarta on March 22, 1993, the first encyclopedia designed to run on a computer. Soon after, the Microsoft Home brand was introduced, encompassing Microsoft's new multimedia applications for Windows 3.x. Microsoft changed its slogan to, "Where do you want to go today?" In 1994, as part of an attempt to appeal to non-technical audiences in a $100 million $187 million in 2023 advertising campaign. In the mid-1990s, Microsoft made significant strides in consumer markets. In March 1995, the company launched Microsoft Bob, a graphical interface aimed at novice users, but it failed due to high hardware requirements and was discontinued by 1996. On August 24, 1995, Microsoft released Windows 95, featuring a revamped user interface and the now iconic Start button. The release was a massive success, selling over 1 million copies within the first 4 days. However, Windows 95 initially lacked a web browser, prompting Microsoft to license and adapt Spyglass's browser, introducing Internet Explorer in the Windows 95 Plus pack. In May 1995, Bill Gates acknowledged the growing importance of the Internet in his famous Internet Tidal Wave memo, assigning it the highest priority for the company. This led to the launch of MSN, Microsoft Network, a direct competitor to AOL, which became an umbrella for Microsoft's online services. The company also partnered with NBC to launch MSNBC, a 24-hour news channel, in 1996 to compete with outlets like CNN. Microsoft further expanded its presence in the hardware market with the release of the Sidewinder 3D Pro joystick and acquired WebTV, allowing consumers to browse the internet via televisions. It also ventured into digital publishing with Slate, an online magazine providing political and social commentary. This era marked Microsoft's aggressive push to dominate not only personal computing but also emerging internet and media markets. From the mid-1990s to the early 2000s, Microsoft expanded aggressively across software, hardware, and internet markets. It entered the PDA market in 1996 with Windows CE, tailored for handheld devices, and released Windows NT 4.0, merging its business-grade kernel with a consumer-friendly GUI. The company's investment in web technologies paid off with ActiveX and Internet Explorer 4.0, which started dominating the browser market, bundled with both Windows and Apple's Mac OS. In 1998, Windows 98 brought FAT32 and multi-display support, while internal Halloween documents reveal concerns over open-source software competition. The release of Windows 2000 and 2000 showcased a stable, professional-grade OS, though the company faced antitrust rulings labeling it a monopoly. Windows XP followed in 2001, blending consumer and professional features, introducing product activation, and debuting a new user interface. Microsoft also entered the gaming market with the Xbox in 2001, challenging Sony and Nintendo, later finding greater success with the Xbox 360. It launched the .NET framework in 2002, bolstering Windows development, and faced antitrust actions from the EU and South Korea over bundled software. By 2006, Microsoft introduced Ad Center to compete with Google, and Bill Gates announced his transition from day-to-day operations, marking the end of an era for the company. From 2007 to today, Microsoft has undergone significant transformations, shifting its focus toward cloud computing, services, and diverse hardware. The launch of Windows 7 in 2009 marked a resurgence after the mixed reception of Windows Vista. Microsoft entered the smartphone market with Windows Phone 7 in 2010, later replaced by Windows 10 Mobile, though it failed to compete with Android and iOS. In 2013, Satya Nadella succeeded Steve Ballmer as CEO, steering the company toward cloud computing, with Azure becoming a leader in the sector. Microsoft acquired Nokia's devices division in 2014, but ultimately phased out its mobile ambitions. Key acquisitions like LinkedIn, 2016, GitHub, 2018, and Activision Blizzard, 2022, expanded its influence across professional networking, software development, and gaming. The Surface line of tablets and laptops showcased Microsoft's commitment to hardware innovation, alongside the Xbox Series X/S consoles launched in 2020, cementing its gaming presence. Microsoft embraced AI with tools like Copilot and integrations into Office 365 using GPT-based technologies. The company also championed inclusivity and environmental sustainability while defending against antitrust scrutiny in areas like its App Store policies. Today, Microsoft stands as a diversified tech giant, balancing consumer, enterprise, and cloud-based services globally. That's all for today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and support me for more videos.